Mauricio Umansky has finally spoken out about his evolving bond with Kyle Richards, his longtime partner, RHOBH co-star, and the woman whose name has been linked to some of the most emotional storylines in Bravo history. What did Mauricio say? How is Kyle handling it? And what could this mean for the future of one of Beverly Hills' most iconic couples? Stay tuned because we're unpacking every layer of this shocking development. And trust me, it's far more dramatic than anyone could have imagined. When whispers first surfaced about Mauricio and Kyle's marital struggles, fans were divided. Some believed the two would inevitably reconcile, while others thought this might mark the end of an era. After all, Mauricio and Kyle's lives have been deeply entwined for nearly 3 decades, not only as husband and wife, but also as parents, raising 4 daughters together. Their love story has been central to the Bravo universe, making their recent turmoil all the more gripping. Now, Mauricio has stepped forward with a message that reflects a mix of vulnerability and determination. Calm, measured, and yet laced with emotion, his words have left fans both surprised and reflective. According to insiders, Mauricio isn't approaching this with bitterness or defensiveness. Instead, he's focusing on honesty and healing, choosing to share his perspective in a way that emphasizes growth rather than scandal. Those close to the couple say his message centers on respect for Kyle, for their family, and for the many years they've shared. He reportedly stressed that no matter what happens between them as a couple, the well-being of their daughters remains his #1 priority. This echoes Kyle's own approach in recent months, where she's emphasized stability, love, and family above all else. Mauricio's tone may be gentle, but make no mistake, it speaks volumes. It's his way of saying that while their marriage may be in flux, he is not willing to let anger define their story. He wants to protect the bond they've built, even if that bond is evolving into something different than what fans once saw on screen. But what exactly was the spark that led Mauricio to break his silence now? Sources suggest that recent family events and mounting speculation about Kyle's friendships and personal connections created a moment where remaining quiet was no longer an option. Mauricio reportedly felt it was time to set the record straight, not to fuel drama, but to bring clarity. For Mauricio, this isn't just about a marriage, it's about identity, reputation, and the desire to move forward without regret. Over the years, he's built a thriving real estate empire, stepped into reality stardom, and cultivated a public image that blends business savvy with family devotion. Now, he seems intent on proving that even in moments of turbulence, he can uphold those values. Kyle's response, while non-confrontational, has been equally powerful. Much like Jennifer Garner's approach to Ben Affleck's reconciliation efforts, Kyle has leaned into grace and composure. She hasn't lashed out publicly or let headlines dictate her narrative. Instead, she has chosen to project calm strength, focusing on her children, her career, and her own path toward peace. This isn't new for Kyle Richards. Over her many years on RHOBH, she has shown resilience in the face of public scrutiny, navigating friendships, family drama, and intense speculation. But this moment feels different. By holding back and letting her actions speak louder than words, Kyle has demonstrated that she knows the value of timing. When she does speak, her words land with weight. The big question now is, what comes next? Does Mauricio's public acknowledgement signal a possible reconciliation with Kyle, or is this more about closure and mutual respect? Could this be the turning point where they rediscover their connection, or is this the beginning of a new chapter where they choose separate paths while still remaining a united family? For now, insiders say Kyle is keeping her boundaries clear. She reportedly welcomes healthier communication and mutual respect, but she is also carving out her own independence. Between her role as a mother, her thriving Bravo presence, and her other personal ventures, Kyle's life is undeniably full. She seems determined not to let speculation define her, choosing instead to let her actions guide the narrative. Still, RHOBH fans know this story is far from over. Reality television thrives on comebacks, and Bravo viewers can't help but wonder if this pause could ultimately pave the way for a reunion, romantic or otherwise. Whether this is about healing, closure, or setting the stage for something bigger, one thing is certain: the world will be watching. What makes this chapter so fascinating is the way Mauricio and Kyle are both navigating it with restraint. Rather than airing grievances or leaning into drama, they're choosing to focus on respect, love, and family. That doesn't mean the emotions aren't real, far from it. But it does mean they're rewriting the script in a way that feels both refreshing and deeply human. Kyle and Mauricio's story is no longer just about RHOBH. It's about resilience, reinvention, and the quiet strength of knowing when to speak and when to step back. So, what do you think? Is Mauricio's heartfelt statement a sign that reconciliation is possible, or is this his way of closing one chapter while Kyle begins another? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the latest RHOBH drama, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We've got more exclusive updates, behind-the-scenes insights, and breaking Bravo news coming your way. As the dust begins to settle from Mauricio's statement, the speculation surrounding his marriage with Kyle Richards has only intensified. Fans, Bravo insiders, and even fellow housewives are all weighing in on what this could mean for the couple whose lives have been front and center for so many years. And while both Mauricio and Kyle are striving to handle this chapter with dignity, there's no denying the undercurrent of uncertainty that lingers. Behind the polished words and carefully chosen interviews lies a far more personal story. Mauricio and Kyle have weathered countless storms before, from business pressures and reality TV rumors to the unavoidable strain that comes with decades of marriage lived in the spotlight. Yet, according to those closest to them, this time feels different. For Mauricio, the motivation to finally open up may have come from a place of vulnerability. Sources close to the agency founder suggest that he felt a growing need to reclaim his narrative. With tabloids churning out endless speculation and fans dissecting every detail of Kyle's friendships and new lifestyle choices, he decided silence was no longer an option. Speaking out became his way of asserting that he still has a voice in the story of his own marriage. And what about Kyle? True to form, she remains measured in her public responses. Friends say she's quietly proud of how Mauricio handled his statement, even if the two are not perfectly aligned on every issue. Kyle, after all, has long been the emotional center of RHOBH. She knows how quickly words can spiral into drama, and she's keenly aware that whatever she says will be scrutinized not only by fans, but also by her daughters, her extended family, and her castmates. But let's not forget, this isn't just about Mauricio and Kyle. Their children are watching, and the family dynamic is shifting. Their daughters, from Farrah down to Portia, are entering their own adult lives while still trying to make sense of what their parents' evolving relationship means. Insiders say that both Mauricio and Kyle are prioritizing family gatherings and shared time together, even if the romantic aspect of their partnership remains uncertain. To them, the message is clear. The Richards-Umansky family remains united, no matter the outcome of the marriage. Of course, Bravo fans can't help but wonder how this will all play out on camera. RHOBH has never shied away from diving headfirst into the real-life issues of its stars. If history is any guide, Kyle's castmates will weigh in heavily, some with sympathy, others with skepticism. Already, whispers suggest that certain housewives are preparing to call out Kyle's closeness with new friends, while others rally around her as she navigates the complexities of separation. Mauricio's decision to speak now may not only be about personal clarity, it may also be a strategic move ahead of the upcoming season. The larger question looming over this story is whether Mauricio and Kyle can find a way back to each other, or if their path forward truly involves building separate lives. While both have acknowledged their struggles, neither has definitively closed the door. Insiders hint that there are moments, private conversations, shared laughter at family events, where it feels like the old spark is still alive. But just as quickly, those glimmers are replaced by the reality of how much has changed. In many ways, their journey mirrors that of countless long-term couples who hit crossroads later in life. The difference is that their decisions are magnified by fame, business, and public opinion. Every move they make becomes part of a larger narrative being dissected on social media, gossip blogs, and reunion specials. That kind of scrutiny would test even the strongest bond. Yet what stands out most in this chapter is the grace with which Kyle and Mauricio are both trying to move forward. Unlike the explosive breakups that often dominate reality TV, theirs seems rooted in respect. Mauricio's calm words and Kyle's quiet strength paint a picture of two people who may not have all the answers, but who refuse to let bitterness define them. That doesn't mean the journey ahead will be smooth. Already, questions are swirling about what this means for Mauricio's role on Buying Beverly Hills, his Netflix reality series. Will his personal storyline intersect with his business empire? Will Kyle make appearances to show a united family front, or will she step back entirely? These decisions aren't just personal, they're professional, carrying ripple effects across both of their careers.